Awesome. Looking on the back of that page, we see dimensional analysis. And go ahead and fill this in. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, 1 meter is 1.094 yards, 1 yard is 3 feet, and 1 mile is 5,280 feet. And I want to talk to you today about, so pause this as needed, and I'm going to talk to you today about the power of 1. Power of 1. What do I mean by the power of 1? 1's an important number. We're going to use it a lot in dimensional analysis. So what do I know? I know 2 divided by 2. That equals 1, right? In the same way, I know that x divided by x, that also equals 1. Or I could even say 3x divided by 3x, right? I could add some multiplication there, equals 1. Now let's get a little different. We're told right here that 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. So I could say 1 kilometer divided by 1,000 meters is also equal to 1 because they're the same thing. And how do we use that? Well, we use that down here. What if I had 1 yard divided by 3 feet? 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. We see that over here. We know that, and hopefully you know that anyway. Here's what else I know. I know that there are 5,280 feet inside of 1 mile. MI is mile, by the way, FT is feet, YD is yards, just things you can know. Here's why that's important, because sometimes we need to convert units. And in this case, I want to find out how many yards are in a mile. So watch what's about to happen. See this FT right here? Those feet cancel feet. We're going to cancel units now. And watch what's about to happen. When I multiply straight across, I get 1 yard. Notice the feet's canceled, so it's times 5,280, so equals 5,280 yards divided by, then I have 3 times 1 mile, 3 miles. I'm going to divide that 3 into 5,280 and watch what happens. 1760. So I now know that goes in there once, goes in there 1,760 times. I know that there is 1,760 yards in 1 mile. That's important to know. I'm going to go over here, and under 1 mile, I'm going to just add a little extra box. I know that 1 mile is also equal to 1,760 yards. That's going to help us in the future. Okay? In fact, it's going to help us with our next question. This is called unit analysis, guys. It's changing units. And you see me do a little bit right here, but I'm going to show you even more. What if I want to change 4,000 yards to miles? Here's how I do it. Step 1, write what you have as a fraction with units. So I'm going to write 4,000 yards all over 1. Because I can write anything over 1, right? Here's the deal, though. I want to multiply it with the power of 1 to convert to proper units. Because I want you to notice something up here. 1 yard is 3 feet. 5,280 feet is a mile. That's essentially 1 times 1 equals 1. Because what did I end up with again? I ended up with another version of 1 right here, didn't I? Because 1,760 yards is 1 mile. It's all 1. It's the power of 1. What do I want to end up with? It says I want to convert yards to miles. So I know that whatever I multiply this by, I want on top to be miles. I want there to be miles on top. What I don't know is what do I got to get rid of? Well, I got to get rid of yards, so I'm going to put yards down here. And what do I know? I know that 1,760 yards, we just did that, there's a reason, is equal to 1 mile. So let's do some cancellation. I can cancel yards, cancels yards. And then if I multiply straight across, right, I get 4,000 4,000 miles, because I don't have yards, I just have MI, all over 1,760. I have no units on bottom because they canceled out. Well, let's go ahead and divide that out. 4,123 divided by 1,760. So that's going to be, wow, we're going to have to round that probably to the nearest hundred. So that's going to be 2.27 miles. So this is approximately 2.27 miles. Look at that. So this is how we do unit analysis. Now let's go ahead and carry this on down here. And I'm going to add this to it. Go ahead and round to nearest hundredth mile. And let's do it. This is another similar one, right, to what we just did. Go ahead and pause this. See if you guys can do this without my help. We'll come right back. Ready? So I'm going to have 2,000 yards. Units matter now, all over 1. And we're going to do the same thing we did up here. We're going to multiply it times 1 mile, all over 1,760 yards. I don't know why I didn't put MI. So yards cancel out. I'm going to end up having 2,000 divided by 1,760. So this is going to approximately equal 123 divided by 1760. That's about 1.14 miles. 1.14 miles. Okay, now we're going to go a little different. Meters to miles. Okay, let's do meters to miles. So, I have 200 meters over 1. And what do I know at my table up here? I know that 1 meter equals 1.094 yards. So, I know I want to get to miles, guys, but I also know if I can get to yards, we've already proven I can get from yards to miles. So, I'm going to go times 1.094 yards all over, that's 1 meter. And then, watch what I'm about to do. I'm going to add an extra step. So I'm going to cancel out meters right here. Right now I'm left with yards, but I want to end up with miles. So now we're going to do what we've been doing. I'm going to say times 1 mile all over 1,760 yards. And those yards are going to cancel out. Notice I'm canceling out units before I ever do the math, because look how easy this becomes. Now I just multiply straight across. Boom. Boom. I get 200 times 1.094 times 1, which the times 1 is irrelevant, all divided by 1 times 1,760, right, which is just 1,760. So let's try this. I'm going to have up top 200. I need to put this in parentheses. 200 times 1.094. And then it was times 1, but we're not worried about the 1. So close parentheses, and we're going to divide that again. The 1 times 1 doesn't matter, it's just the 1,760. And that equals about, not very far, 0.12 miles. So that is approximately 0.12 miles. And we definitely want to have that. Now we're going to write a little small in this one because not tons of room. But let's take a look. Now we want to do kilometers to miles. It's going to be a very similar pathway to the meters, but we're going to add on a little extra distance here. So let's see. I've got 5 kilometers, km, that's kilometers over 1. And I need to change this to meters, because then I'm going to go from meters to yards and yards to miles, just like over here. So I know that I want to end up with what on top? I want to end up with meters up here. and I know that 1,000 meters is 1 kilometer, correct? And now, that's going to cancel out kilometers. I'm left with meters. But I want to take meters to yards. So again, what am I going to do? Times 1.094 yards all over 1 meter. Now that cancels out meters, and I have yards. And I want to end with times, boom, I want to end with my miles on top, and I know that 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. Boy, I'm so glad we found that conversion rate up there. That saves us some room, believe it or not. And by the way, this is not a very long chain. These can get very long. And what happens again, the yards cancel out, and I'm going to be left with miles, which is what we want. Okay, so let's multiply straight across on top. I'm going to have, in parentheses, because remember, at the end of the day, I just have 1, 1, 1 on bottom and a 1,760. So I'm going to divide the whole answer I get by 1,760. So I have 5 times, parentheses, almost forgot. 5 times 1, 2, 3, 5,000 times 1.094 times the 1. Well, I guess I didn't need that times the 1, but I put it anyway. And I'm going to divide this whole thing by 1,760. And that gets me that 5 kilometers is approximately 3.11 miles. Boom. That's a good math problem. All right, guys, let's finish up these last two. It says if Nita buys a half gallon of milk, how many batches of that recipe can she make? 8 fluid ounces equals